Hey Froggy friends, Kirostyle here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, if you've been keeping up with my social media or my last couple videos, I've mentioned that I have gotten laser eye surgery. So now I'm back from my surgery, almost recovered, and I thought I'd talk a bit about my experiences a little bit. Now, I'm not an optometrist, so I'll try to say things as best as I know to my knowledge, and hopefully it's all correct, but if I make any mistakes, I apologize in advance. First of all, wow, I can definitely tell my VTuber tracking is definitely better than before now that I'm not wearing my glasses. So that's good to see. That's reassuring. So, and I've talked about this before, but I have a really high prescription. My eyes are really bad, to put it very bluntly. My prescription is in the range of like -7, -8. Now, that is a bad prescription, but it's not the worst. However, what makes it really bad is that coupled with that, I also have really high astigmatism. So even though it's only like -7, -8, with the high astigmatism, it becomes like, well, worse than like -10 or lower-ish. I don't know exactly how it translates. If you don't know what astigmatism is basically where the shape of your cornea for most people is like a perfect round dome. People with astigmatism have an uneven cornea, and because your cornea is uneven, it also affects the way that light goes into your eye and goes through your lens and is concentrated onto your retina. So in addition to having, a lens and an eye shape that doesn't exactly give you the perfect vision, you also have this unevenly shaped cornea that makes it even worse, which is why astigmatism makes things even trickier. Now, a lot of people live their everyday lives with their glasses and their contacts, and they're perfectly fine. And, all the power to them. Now, me personally, because of my really, really high prescription, I have hated wearing glasses and contacts my entire life. Now, I know you'll get people that say, oh, everyone looks better with glasses. You put glasses on anyone and they'll look good. Anyone looks good with glasses. And, you can have your opinion, but I will say definitively, I do not look good with glasses. Now, you might be wondering, well, you're just exaggerating. You're just being, humble about your appearance and whatnot. But I legit think I don't look good with glasses. And now here, I'll tell you why. Because of my super duper high prescription, it means that my lenses in my glasses are really thick. Like, they're really thick. They come out of the frames of the glasses. Now, you can pay extra money to kind of get them thinner while still maintaining the same prescription, but it costs a lot of extra money. And, growing up, my parents didn't really want to spend that extra money because the glasses themselves already cost a lot. So I had really thick lenses, and because of the thick lenses, if you looked at me straight on when I'm wearing glasses, the sight of my face through the lenses is a little bit distorted. You can see like the sides of my head curving around and my eyes kind of looking like large and like weirdly shaped and weirdly proportioned if you looked at me from the front with the glasses. Now, I've also tried different glasses shapes growing up, trying to pick ones that match my face shape and ones that look good. But really, no matter what I did, glasses just seem to emphasize parts of my face that I personally don't really like. Now, I don't think I'm like hideous, but the glasses definitely didn't help because it brought attention to certain features of my face that I just personally don't think look good. And on top of that, when you're wearing glasses, especially when it's really hot outside, you kind of get all sweaty, and like my ears kind of sometimes get uncomfortable wearing the glasses for a long time. So glasses themselves weren't really that comfortable. Now, when I was in middle school, I really wanted to get contact lenses because I thought I would look better without my glasses, which I still think is true. Now, the problem is with my prescription so high, and particularly because of my astigmatism being so high, I couldn't actually get contact lenses in the perfect prescription for me. So I needed to wear what we call hard contact lenses. Most contact lenses are soft. They're squishy, and you stick them in your eye, and they're comfortable, and they're wet, and they're moist, and you can wear them pretty much all day, and you'll be mostly comfortable, and you take them off. And some of my friends have like daily contacts or weekly contacts or whatever, where you use them for a couple days or whatever, and then you throw them away and you get new ones, right? Now, hard contacts are different. Hard contacts are smaller than soft contacts, and like the name says, they are hard. They're very rigid. It's literally like having a piece of immovable plastic in your eye. And regular soft contacts are squishy and they move around all nice and flowy. Hard contacts don't do that. So they are small and they're hard, and to put them in your eye, it actually takes a lot of practice because you're literally poking out your eye each time, because you can really feel it. Even when I got used to wearing them, I could still almost always feel them in my eye, and I could also see the edges of my contact lenses in my peripheral vision because they weren't really that big. Because of my astigmatism as well, the lenses always kind of moved around in my eye a little bit. They kind of shifted down a little bit, and if I was unlucky, they would scrape against my eye, or when taking them out, they would scratch against my eye, and it would be really painful. Even just taking them in and out is different. With soft contact, you can kind of like stick your finger in your eye and just pull it out. Easy. With a hard contact lens, because it's hard and rigid, what you need to do is you need to use one hand to grab your lower eyelid and pin it underneath your contact lens. And then your other hand uses your top eyelid, and you basically have to scoop it out of your eye by, kind of pulling it underneath and popping it out. And at the end of the day, when you're really tired, sometimes it's not as easy to do that. And sometimes really early in the morning, it's also not super easy to do. And sometimes it would take me multiple tries at the beginning until I got really good at it. Now, these hard contact lenses also meant at the end of every day, I would be really tired. Like my eyes would be tired. They'd be a little bit bloodshot, and I could feel my eyes being like a little bit blurrier. My vision wouldn't be as good as it was in the morning, and I would be very happy to go home and take out my contact lenses. Now, the weather would also affect these as well. So if it was windy, even just a little windy outside, I have to really squint my eyes because I didn't want the wind to shift around the contact lens in my eye, which would be uncomfortable, and it would make me scared of losing them, or it would get dust in my eye. And my vision would get really blurry if it was really windy. Even if it was really sunny sometimes, I would get distorted vision as well, because I would have to squint, and my vision gets all blurry, and then my contact lens shifts in my eye, and it just wasn't great being outdoors with these contact lenses. And so I think part of me being tired after like a work day every day is not because my body's actually tired, it's because my eyes were tired. So you can kind of see why I would really be interested in getting eye surgery and being rid of these contact lenses and being rid of my glasses. On top of these things also saving you money in the long haul, because a lot of contact lenses, like I said, the soft contact lenses might be daily ones or weekly ones. These hard contact lenses are really expensive. Like I'm talking like $700-ish for these things, because I had to get them custom made. And you can't have those on a weekly or a monthly basis. Like I would keep these things for like a year, sometimes even more than just a year. And I know I probably shouldn't have been using some of these for more than just a year at a time, but they're expensive. And you would have to take them every day, and you'd have to clean them with solution and store them away all nice and keep them moist. And like just the thought of using the same contact lenses for a couple years at a time is kind of unfathomable for some people. So again, my experience with contact lenses is a lot different than most people's. Now, I've been thinking about laser eye surgery for a while, but usually you don't want to get laser eye surgery when you're too young because your eyes are still changing, right? It would kind of suck to get the surgery and then have your prescription change later as you go. So you want to wait until you're older so your prescription kind of balances out and stops changing. And like I kind of wanted to get this before the COVID pandemic, but then the pandemic hit and I had to wait a little bit and just wasn't the good time. So finally, I was in a position where I could get my laser eye surgery. Now, I've had other people in my family get this surgery before. In fact, both of my parents have had laser eye surgery, but theirs was different. They had laser eye surgery like 20 years ago or so, and they got LASIK, which is the laser eye surgery most people are familiar with. When you think laser eye surgery, you think of LASIK. Now, LASIK is actually not a procedure that's done as much nowadays. They still do it sometimes, but not as much. And that's probably because LASIK has a few risks and more possible adverse effects. Because in LASIK, what they do is they cut part of your cornea open, and then they laser your eye, and then they flop the flap back over, and you wait for it to heal. As you can imagine, you're cutting part of your eye means there's risks involved. Nowadays, most people do a new procedure called PRK, or Photorefractive keratectomy, and it's much safer and it's more effective. In this one, there is no cutting of the eye, which is the major advantage of it. And this is the one I got, PRK. But most people, when I talk to about laser eye surgery, they still say, oh, are you getting LASIK? I'm not sure if it's because LASIK is kind of like the Kleenex of laser eye surgeries, or like the Lysol of laser eye surgeries. You know, like when someone says, pass me a tissue, or when they say, pass me a Kleenex, sometimes it doesn't have to be Kleenex brand, right? Or when they say, spray something with Lysol, it doesn't necessarily have to mean Lysol brand. It's more like it's just the most well-known name, right? Or when people say, like, Coke instead of pop or soda, even though it's not Coca-Cola. Same type of thing, I think, with LASIK. But anyways, this procedure was not LASIK. It's PRK. So I went in for my PRK assessment. So you have to go and get assessed to see if you qualify for the surgery first before you actually get it. And that's when I realized how high my astigmatism really was. Because before, my astigmatism was always just a bunch of numbers on a piece of paper. I didn't really understand what those numbers meant, other than my cornea was uneven. But the doctor showed me basically an image of my eye, like a topographical map of my eye, you know, like those maps that have different colors depending on the elevation of the land. Now, a normal eye, again, is dome-shaped, and so you get a topographical map that just looks like a circle with, you know, colors changing from red to blue through the rainbow in a nice circle. My eye was hourglass shaped. So if you imagine like an hourglass, and like the top and the bottom of the hourglass is like the red area where it was the highest, and then all the area outside of it was like blue. So in other words, my eye was like a mountain where the top and the bottom sides were very, very steep inclines that went up to the center of my eye. And then the left and the right sides were kind of bigger slants with more of a gradual ascent. Essentially, I looked at that and I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder my contact lens always moves around in my eye. No wonder it's hard to fit things to my eye. No wonder my vision is so bad. So luckily, I did qualify for the surgery, so I booked it this summer because that was the most convenient time for me. And, you know, I was really nervous about it, right? Because you get nervous about these things. And I know some people that got LASIK before, and again, this is with LASIK, not PRK, and they would get the surgery, correct their vision, but then their eyes would always be dry all the time, and they need to use eye drops all the time. Now, I was told by the doctor that PRK pretty much has like 100% success rate with no adverse long-term effects, which is really reassuring to me. But that didn't stop me from being a bit anxious about it. So when you go in, what you do is they put some eye drops in your eye to freeze your eye, to basically, you know, block off pain and sensation in your eyes. So I lie down, and then they open up your eyes, or they do it one at a time. They cover one eye up, and then the other eye, they open it up with an eye speculum. So it's like a device that holds your eyelids open. It's kind of like that thing from Clockwork Orange where the guy's forced to watch something and they put something over his eye and it looks kind of scary, but it's not as scary as I thought it was. It feels weird because they're literally slipping things under your eyelids to hold them open, but they put so many eye drops and things in your eyes to keep it nice and moist, so you don't really feel like you need to blink anyways, not that you can. Although it was really weird because you're basically looking up at them and watching them put things in your eye and bringing them close to your eye, and you have to sit there and lay still, which, of course, I've become really good at doing that with poking my eye with hard contact lenses, but it's weird to see someone else doing it, especially when they bring, like, you know, objects that look a little bit pointier near your eyes. So first they put some alcohol in your eyes and you don't really feel it because of the freezing eye drops. And that's like to loosen up, I think it's to loosen up like the epithelium of your eye, to like loosen up the cells at the top. And then they like wipe it around, and then they like add eye drops to your eye and stuff, and then you're ready for the laser. So the laser is like computer programmed, and it's has some eye tracking in it. And what the laser does is it goes by really quickly. It like lasers your eye and basically removes tissue. So you can actually smell the smell of burning, your own flesh burning a little bit, which is a little bit unpleasant, but it doesn't last too long. So the idea is, with the laser, they carve out parts of your cornea to first get rid of your astigmatism, to make your eyes nice and round, like a normal shaped eye, and then they burn off some tissue so that the way it directs light into your eye compensates for your poor vision and gives you good vision and gets everything onto your retina properly. So once they do that, they put some eye drops in your eye, and then they add some medications to your eye to basically prevent it from healing back the way it was. Because anytime you injure your body or remove parts of your cells or whatever, your body's going to try to regenerate that, right? But in this case, we don't want the eye to regenerate the cornea the way that it was before, because it was bad before. So they put medications on your eye to basically prevent it from healing back the same way. And then before they leave off, they put a bandage over your eye. Now this band, I use the word bandage because that's what they call it, but it's basically like a contact lens. It's like a big contact lens, like a soft contact lens. It looks a little bit bigger and a little bit floppier than a normal contact lens, but it's basically, they lay it on top of your eye and it's clear so that your eye can recover and heal with that protecting it on top. So they put the bandage on top, and then they do the same thing to your other eye. So, they close your other eye, and then they open it up with a speculum, and then they do all the same stuff over again. So when I finished and I got up, it actually wasn't really painful, for one thing. It felt awkward, them putting things in your eye, but I would say at no point was it painful. And I got up and I was like, I have 20/20 vision now. It felt fantastic, but I knew it wouldn't last, because with most eye surgeries, there will be some regression because your eye is going to try to go back to the way it was before. Now, the higher prescription, the more regression there is. So, of course, with my super high prescription, it means my eye is going to regress a little bit. And so, for example, they might bring me to 20/20, but then it might regress a little bit and go down to like -1 or -2 or -3. I don't really know how much it is. The higher prescription, the more regression. But they said, of course, any improvement is welcome. And for me, with such high prescription, any improvement will honestly feel really good to me. The nice thing about these surgeries too is that it's a one-time fee. Once you pay it, and if you need extra surgery later to help with the regression and stuff, it's no extra cost, which is really fantastic. So now my job was just to heal up. Now the healing part is kind of the annoying part that I was not looking forward to. It's like a 4-day process where you can't look at computer screens, and you get a whole bunch of medications, which includes eye drops and pills. So some of the pills you have to take a couple times a day, and I had 3 different eye drops, 2 of which I had to take twice a day, and then the other one, which was the annoying one, is an eye drop that I had to take every 15 minutes when awake, or every 2 hours when asleep for the first 2 days. So in other words, the first 2 days, I did not get that much rest because I was constantly putting eye drops in my eyes every 15 minutes. And then when I went to sleep, I had to set an alarm every 2 hours, wake up and put these eye drops in to keep the bandage moist and protect my eyes. So I didn't get much rest those first 2 days. I survived off audiobooks, but even then was still quite arduous. Luckily, after the first 2 days, then you go down to putting eye drops in every 30 to 60 minutes, and you don't necessarily need to wake up in the middle of the night to put them in. So the first 2 days went by really slow, and the second 2 days went by a bit better. Now, the regression, I was surprised I could already start to feel it 2 days after the surgery. Because when I finished the surgery, I felt like I had 20/20 vision, and then after 2 days had passed, I could already feel my vision significantly dropping. And I was getting worried because when I go back in after day 4 and they take off the bandage of your eye, I was afraid I'd be stuck with this suboptimal vision for the next who knows how long, because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to stream in the meantime or play video games or basically do anything that involved a computer, because like even now sitting in front of the computer, I can kind of just barely read the words on the screen and they're a little bit fuzzy to me. So I was like, I'm going to be stuck with this for a while. Now, I go in and they take off the bandage. Everything seems to have healed properly. And they tell me I'm going to have a follow-up appointment in a month. And after the month, we'll talk about whether I need extra surgery or not and what that's going to look like. My vision's going to continue to change over this month. So it's not like I can get glasses in the meantime. Plus, that would be expensive because my vision's going to keep changing. On top of that, they said that my vision's going to get a little bit worse over the next 2 weeks, and then it will steadily improve a little bit as I guess my body gets used to it and as the eye finishes recovering. So I'm hoping I could still get better vision afterwards as well. Because right now, again, I can kind of make out the words on the computer screen, but it's not really that sharp. I have to kind of concentrate to do it. I can drive as long as I'm driving on roads I'm familiar with. If I was driving on like the freeway that I'm not familiar with and I have to look for my exit, I would not be able to read some of those signs from a fair enough distance until I got close enough. So I wouldn't feel comfortable driving on roads that I'm not familiar with. But in the meantime, I can get on with my everyday life. So I was a little bit upset, disappointed, but I kind of knew this is what I signed up for and it was still an improvement. I was just more angry that maybe I wouldn't be able to stream as well. Now, this feeling did kind of fade with time because I think I can manage. It's just not going to be as ideal as I would have wanted it. But that means in a month, I'm going to go back in. We'll see how everything's doing and if I need a follow-up surgery, which in my case, I probably do. I'm not sure if it means 1 more surgery or 2 more surgeries. But again, it was all covered in the initial payment, which was nice. For most people, this would be the end of the story. For me, I talk about this a lot. I have notoriously bad luck. So they took off the bandage of my eye and I went home and I felt fine. And then that evening at 11 o'clock, my right eye started to hurt a lot. It was just my right eye. It felt like I had something trapped underneath my eyelid, like a piece of plastic scraping against my eye. And it really hurt. Even closing my eye, it still hurt. And it hurt a lot, especially if I moved my eye. Like if I looked up or left or right, it hurt. It hurt less if I looked down. I doused it with eye drops thinking that maybe it was just being dry. And I went to sleep hoping that it would be better in the morning. It was not better in the morning. I got worried. So I phoned the eye center and I talked to the assistants who looked after my surgery. And they just kind of said, well, it's normal to get dry eyes or have eyes that hurt the day after the surgery. Give it a day. Let us know tomorrow if it still hurts. And then you can come in and see us. So I don't blame them for saying that because they probably get these types of phone calls a lot, especially from people fresh out of the surgery, right? They can't be getting everyone in for appointments immediately after again because they're quite busy. So I thought I'd tough it out for 1 more day, and I thought it got a little bit better with some painkillers, but then it got a lot worse, like a lot worse. It was hurting so much. I was constantly crying out of just that one eye. I was so full of tears that the tears were clogging up my nose, and it was hard to breathe. And when I say clogging up my nose, I don't mean like when you have a cold or a flu and your nose is plugged up and it's hard to breathe. This was like extremely plugged up to the point where if I tried to eat something or if I was swallowing like my own spit or swallowing some water, I felt like I was suffocating because I was getting no air through my nose. And if I was swallowing or eating, that means no air was coming in through my mouth either. So it was really, really bad and really painful. And even just closing my eye still hurt. If I looked around or moved my skull, it would hurt because my eye was still moving inside my head unless I moved it really slowly. So I was like, this isn't getting better. So the next day I phoned and I said, this isn't getting better. I have to come in. And so I came in and the assistant looked at my eye and she said, oh, your eye was completely healed when we took off the bandage, but it looks like in the meantime, something happened and something got maybe scratched or abrased or moved. And basically the sensitive cells in my eye, on my right eye, were exposed again. Basically, the abrasion was exposed, and that's why it was hurting, because every time my eyelid rubbed against it, it hurt a lot. So they said, well, let's just put another bandage on it, another contact lens on it, and we'll wait a couple days for it to heal again. It's rare for us to see this, but it happens. So last time they put the contact lens in my eye, I had the speculum holding my eye open, but this time we were trying to put it in without the speculum. And again, this bandage contact lens is like a soft contact lens, but it's a bit bigger and floppier than a regular contact lens, at least from what I could tell. And so she put freezing drops in my eye, and she was trying to put it in, and I have naturally small eyes, you know, being Asian and stuff. And it was really hard for her to put them in, even with freezing in my eyes. And we tried out so many different things, and there was one time it did go in, but then the corner of it was folding over, which was bad, so we had to take it out again. And on top of that, my eyelid was also a little bit swollen, according to her, so that's also what made it difficult to put in. So, like, literally for half an hour, we were trying to put this one contact in my eye. I even asked if I could try it, because I've put in soft contacts before, because I've done cosplay in the past where I had to put colored contacts in, and I got soft lenses, because you can't get hard lenses like that. And I was able to get it in, but again, the corner, she said, was folding over a little bit, which would be uncomfortable once my eye was unfrozen. We had to take it out. In the end, she had to call the doctor over and asked him to put it in, and he couldn't get it in either. So we had to get the speculum again, the thing to pry open my eye, except this time I wasn't in the surgery mode, which means that once they started prying my eye open, it would start to dry out and I'd want to blink and it would be unpleasant. But luckily they were able to get it in. It was a little bit unpleasant, but we were able to get the bandage in, and then it stopped hurting. I could still feel some of the residual pain from before, but now it no longer hurt. I was no longer tearing up, and we said, okay, we'll keep it on for a couple days for extra healing, and then you can come back, we'll take it off, and if it's all healed, then you should be good for the rest of the month. So that's where I am now. My unluckiness meant that I had to have this extra step of healing, but right now I'm feeling pretty good. Now again, my vision is a little blurry, so I can read the computer screen at my regular distance, but I have to kind of concentrate. A lot of times I can still read the words because if it's like a website or a program that I use often, I know what it says anyways. But if I was trying to read like Twitch chat or something like that, I think I'd have to concentrate a little bit. If I was playing a game and I had to read lines out loud, I'd probably have to concentrate a little bit and maybe even move closer to the screen. But I'm hoping that this is the worst of it and it will just steadily improve over the next month. And after that, if I need to get extra surgery, then I can fix it up a little bit, get like closer to the 20/20 as I can. So in the end, it worked out for the most part. There was that part where I was a bit disappointed and worried, and there was the part where it was very painful. But overall, I think it was worth the experience because it feels good not having to put on my glasses or my contacts every time I get up or I have to leave the house. It's just so much more convenient. I still find myself sometimes absent-mindedly reaching out to grab my glasses off like the nightstand or something like that to put them on. I'm like, wait, I don't need this. I can see, even if it's not perfect, but it's so much better than what it was before, because before I wouldn't even really be able to make out like complete, not that I couldn't make out complete shapes or objects, but they were really, really blurry. At least now they're only a little bit blurry. So I would say if anyone is thinking about getting laser eye surgery, especially if you have a high prescription like mine, I think it's worth it. And honestly, the process wasn't really painful. It was just inconvenient. So you have to set aside time for that and plan ahead, make sure that you take the days off and make sure that you have enough time to heal and download some audiobooks and whatnot. Be prepared not to get really good sleep for a couple days. And as long as you're not unlucky like me, where they took off the bandage and then it ended up getting abrased and hurt really bad for like a day and a half, that probably won't happen to you. But again, if your prescription is really low and you don't mind wearing glasses or contacts and it's not obstructive to you, especially if you wear soft contacts, you might want to, weigh your options. But personally for me, I think it was a good experience, and I hope in the long run it works out, which I think it will. but at the time, I wasn't so confident in it. So anyways, that's my story about getting laser eye surgery. Sorry, I was a bit lazy with this video. I didn't want to go and edit and put in like pictures and descriptions and diagrams of all the procedures and stuff. I was going to do that at the beginning, but honestly, I'm a little bit tired. But I'll see you guys in the next video. We're going to get ready to go back to streaming soon, hopefully, and we'll have a good time again. Thanks so much, guys, for all your support, especially those of you who reached out on Twitter, gave me some nice messages, and encouraged my recovery. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.